Hello friend, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Becky if you're new, and today we're gonna make apple cider donuts. I've never actually even eaten an apple cider donut before, but I thought it sounded good, so I thought we would make it together. So the first thing we are gonna do, I have the recipe linked down below if you want to attempt to make this recipe yourself. It is linked down below, and we'll find out today if it's good or not. I'm sure it is gonna be delicious. So here I've got, this is apple cider, so it's a little different than apple juice. It's fresh pressed apple cider. It's not from the local orchard or from the pumpkin patch because we have not gone to that yet. So this is just some stuff that was able to get at the store. And what we want to do is concentrate this apple cider. So and if you are not from the US, here in the US, we call apple cider, which is an unfiltered apple juice, apple cider, versus for those of you across the pond, apple cider is an alcoholic beverage like what we call here just hard cider. If there's alcohol in it, we call it hard cider. So what I want to do is reduce this cider down by about half, and this is going to be boiling. That's going to take a good 45 minutes. So while that's going, luckily, earlier today, I did read this recipe through multiple times. I went ahead and I have our apple cider here. And to make it easier on myself, I did go ahead and weigh out all the ingredients so we can mix these together. And Josh is here, so if you have questions, please feel free to ask questions. And throughout this process, there will be times where we can answer questions. I'm happy to answer questions on this recipe, on the garden, whatever you want to talk about today. So to my apple cider that went from about 2.5 cups to 1 cup, we want to concentrate that apple flavor without having to add any more liquid to this recipe. I just added my melted butter, and now I'm adding 2 eggs. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna whisk these together. Now this recipe can be made up to 12 hours in advance. And when I made donuts, if you watched, we made donuts together, some yeasted donuts and cake donuts. This is a cake donut. We don't have to use any yeast. We're gonna use baking powder and baking soda as the leavening agents for this. I thought it would be fun to start a family tradition making donuts for Christmas, because you could make the dough the night before.
You're probably live?
Am I live? Let me know if I'm live. We are having technical difficulties. Josh updated our streaming software today, and it's apparently having a few bugs.
I knew I shouldn't have. As I clicked go ahead and do the update, I just had a feeling.
Well, I apologize about that. If you missed it, in this container, well, we're making apple cider donuts. Perfect for fall. In here, I have what used to be 2.5 cups of apple cider that I boiled down to 1 cup of apple cider. I added eggs, white sugar, and now I'm going to add my brown sugar. I'm going to mix this together. Let me know if you all have ever made donuts before. I am new to making donuts, and I've been having a lot of fun. And I was saying before it crashed that I think it would be fun to start incorporating for my family some donut making in some holiday traditions. Josh loves donuts, and a lot of donut recipes that I have found online, you can make up to 12 to 24 hours. Yeasted donuts, a lot of them you can make 24 hours in advance. And so you could make them the night before. This is a recipe that you can make up to 12 hours in advance. So now now that we have our liquid ingredients mixed together, we have our dry ingredients here. And if you have any questions or anything, if you missed it, Josh is here. He's gonna be taking questions, and we can just have a conversation. So to my all-purpose flour, I have cardamom, which I think is a really fun spice to add to this, cinnamon, and now fresh nutmeg. If you have never tried fresh nutmeg before, it is far superior than ground. They come in these little nuts. They actually have a hard shell on the outside. When Josh and I were on our honeymoon, we went to Jamaica, and we went on a, Josh is looking at me, all right? He's not sure if I should tell the story, right? Is that why you're looking at me like that?
Potentially, yeah.
So we went to Jamaica. I'm sure the statute of limitations is up at this point. And we went on an excursion of going to an apple, what are they? What would it, an apple, not orchard. Is it?
What else would it be?
I don't know, grove or, I don't know. Not apple, did I say
You're
apple?
talking about coffee?
Yeah. I'm like in the mind of
Plantation,
apple.
I think, or something?
Well, we went to a coffee farm, and it was up in the Blue Mountains in Jamaica, and coffee grows up really high elevation there, and we went on this tour where they drove us up in a bus all the way up to the top of the mountain, and then we got on bikes, and we got to ride the bikes down. It was probably a couple hour bike ride down, no pedaling. They fed us, and on that excursion, we got to go tour a coffee farm, the Blue Mountain Coffee. I think that's what it was called.
Yep.
Yeah. And we were in this farm learning about coffee, and this man comes up, and he is peddling spices, nutmeg.
Primarily nutmeg. He might have had some other herbs, some choice herbs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were in Jamaica, so there was definitely the choice herbs there. So to my dry ingredients, we have our spices. Now I'm going to add my leavening agents. So this is, I'm going to turn this off since I already reduced this. I have baking powder and baking soda and salt, and I'm going to mix this together. And we bought nutmeg. I bought 4 nutmegs, and they actually come in a hard shell that you crack, and then the nutmeg that I was just grating is inside it. And fresh nutmeg is kind of an expensive spice. And so $3 or $1 for 3 or 4, I can't remember, was like an incredible deal. And we brought it back, and Josh wasn't sure if we were supposed to do that. I don't know if we were supposed to do that or not, but I used them all, and I wish I had bought like a ton of them because it was a great price and it was the best nutmeg. So here we're gonna mix our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients. And this is gonna be a very, very sticky dough. And here we go. So this is a cake donut because we're not using yeast to leaven it. We're using baking powder and baking soda to get a rise on these donuts. And cake donuts are your favorite, aren't they, Josh?
No.
Oh, glazed donuts with chocolate frosting is your favorite donut, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know what's just like a normal donut, like.
Yeah, like a glaze.
Yeah, but what is it? It's
A
not
yeast
like
donut.
a yeast donut. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a yeast donut.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have a question about whether or not you can use gluten-free flour for this recipe.
I don't know. This is not my recipe. This is the Preppy Kitchens recipe, which I have the recipe that I'm following linked down below to his website. And he probably in the notes says if you can use gluten-free flour or not. So this is what the batter looks like. It is extremely wet, and it needs to sit in the refrigerator for 2 to 12 hours. That's why you could make this in the morning and have it at night for dessert. If I was thinking it'd be fun for like a harvest party or something like that to do donuts like this. And through the magic of television, I made a batch earlier today. Josh, would you be willing to go into the fridge and grab me the dough that's in there?
Sure.
And before I actually start shaping it, what we should do is get our oil hot and ready so that we can fry these donuts. Yeah, yep, that's it. So it does firm up quite a bit, but it is a very, very sticky dough. So now I'm going to, in my enamel Dutch oven, I have my candy thermometer on here. I love this candy thermometer because it has a huge, let me turn it on, a huge window so you can see the temperature really well. So when I'm over there shaping them, I'll be able to quickly look over and see what temperature we're at. I am using a neutral flavored high smoke point oil. This one happens to be sunflower oil. And I'm gonna put a few inches of oil in the bottom of this Dutch oven. And that's gonna take a little bit of time to heat up. Put this over here because we're done with that. So now what we're gonna do is shape our donuts. Get these bowls out of the way here. So I have a silicone mat. I get questions of why I use this all the time, and it's because my countertops they're tile granite countertops, and so they have a lot of grout lines. And so I like to use this mat just so that flour and dough and stuff like that doesn't get stuck in it.
Did you say what type of oil it was?
Yeah, it's sunflower oil. But you can use whatever type of neutral flavor, high smoke point oil you like. So you could use peanut oil, soybean oil, canola oil,
Did you
avocado
explain
oil.
what that is? What high smoke point? Sorry, I was doing something else, but I've got a couple questions.
I didn't, but I certainly can. So you don't want to use a low smoke point oil because we're going to be heating this oil up to 350 degrees. And different oils will actually burn or smoke at different temperatures. And so you want to make sure you use an oil that's going to not burn on you. So you wouldn't want to fry donuts in something like butter because it has a really low smoke point. And you wouldn't want to use something like you can just Google like charts with different smoke points for different oils, but you wouldn't want to use something like olive oil or anything like that because it smokes or burns at a lower temperature. So now we're going to get our stiffened dough, but still very, very sticky dough out of this bowl.
Do you think you could retain the oil for future use?
Yeah, I think depending on how dirty it gets, you can strain it, and I wouldn't mix it in with my fresh oil. I don't fry a lot, so I'm not the world's leading expert on how to save oil and reuse it. But for something like this, that's a very neutral flavor, I know you can save your oil and use it multiple times. Okay, so this is very sticky, and we are going to roll this out to 1/2 inch thick. The recipe was pretty specific that you don't want it too thick, but you don't want it too thin. If it's too thin, then they won't puff up. If it's too thick, they'll be raw on the inside. And we can use quite a bit of flour if we need to because it's pretty sticky.
Here's a question. It's kind of out there, or it's not related, but someone asked,
That's okay.
have you thought about making Mexican egg bread called conchas?
I have never heard of that before.
It's delicious, dunked in coffee, chocolate, vanilla tops, egg, or strawberry.
That sounds so good. I have not heard of that. So the next thing, one of the things I want to make with corn flour, or masa, actually not corn flour, but masa, is we were watching Outdoor Boys. I don't know if any of you guys enjoy that channel, but he made a bean and cheese stuffed masa flour thing, and he patted it and fried it on a griddle, and it looked so good. So that's on my list of things to make. So I have my bench scraper here, and I am just measuring to make sure that I get it at 1/2 inch. This looks perfect to me. Didn't need a rolling pin or anything like that. I also like these silicone mats because they have rulers on them. And I'm supposed to use a 3-inch cutter. I just have all of my round cookie cutters. I love this set of cookie cutters. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 4 inches. And there we go. So now all we're gonna do is make our donuts, and we need to flour this pretty heavily. So are you team pumpkin or team apple spice? Caramel apple for the fall. I think I put a poll up there.
Was that one of the polls?
Yeah.
I did end it. I have to scroll up.
What is the percentage?
One of them won by a landslide, and I'm trying to find it.
Let me guess. I'm
Okay.
going to guess pumpkin won by a landslide.
Well, once I find that poll, I can...
I'm a pumpkin spice fan, and I would guess, Josh, you're more apple, because like apple pie would be your preferred dessert.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. I am of the camp that I think pumpkin gets a little overdone.
Yeah.
But you love pumpkin, so I love supporting you in your pumpkin endeavors.
I do like pumpkin. I might be getting like I'm excited for these apple donuts. Okay, so now that we have 4 rounds out, I will re-roll this. Let me see what temperature. Oh yeah, this is gonna take a little bit of time because we're at 200 degrees right now. Probably perfect timing actually by the time I get all these rolled out. So we're gonna make not only donuts, like round donuts with a hole in it, but we'll make some donut holes as well. Because that's where the donuts come from.
We have a question from Holly about freeze-dried tomatoes.
Oh,
have you
yeah.
ever tried that so that you can thicken tomato sauce easily?
Yes, actually, I have. Last year, you all told me I should freeze dry the tomato skins, not the seeds, but the skins. And I only did a small batch, and we went through it so quickly. It was amazing. I put it in, the way I actually used it the most, I used it as a tomato powder, like a seasoning or a flavoring. So if I was doing something in the crock pot, I would put a little bit of that in there, and you'd get that tomato flavor without getting all the liquid that if you put a jar of tomato juice in. It was also really good. My favorite way I used it was making like a pink sauce. So I'd make like an Alfredo sauce for pasta and then putting a tablespoon of that powder in it. And we went through that within a month or so. And so actually you will see Josh and I did a huge tomato processing day last week, and you'll be able to watch that on Saturday, and you're gonna see exactly how I make a bunch of tomato powder. Hopefully it'll be enough. I haven't actually freeze dried it yet because I'm gonna wait until I have all my tomato skins, and I'm not freeze drying the seeds, I'm just freeze drying the skins. So you'll see how we go about that. So I just took my dough, I reshaped it a little bit. I'm gonna cut out these, not redo it, I am gonna do it. Let's see, so the recipe said we would get, I think 12, 2, 4, 6, 7, I think I'm gonna get 8. Maybe my cookie cutter was a little bit bigger than a 3-inch cookie cutter.
By the way, I think I lost the poll when the stream crashed. So,
so you want to do another poll?
I feel like it was pumpkin spice by like 80% or something.
Oh, wow, okay.
I could redo it though. And I will say we got a vote from Mandy in the making. She said pumpkin spice, so.
Pumpkin spice. So I had the opportunity to meet Mandy. Josh and I just went on a really, really quick work trip. And we went on, and we got to meet some other YouTubers.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And she is just as sweet in person. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8. That's Mandy in the making from the YouTube channel. She makes a ton of good cooking videos. So we are at 270 degrees. Josh, I'm going to wash my hands real quick. So if you want to answer a question and mute me, because my hands are kind of doughy.
I will do my best here. Okay, questions. I have some questions. I'm afraid to switch windows anytime, like it's going to just crash again. We do have questions about the bees. The bees, they seem to have slowed down a little bit. I think mostly because the weather has cooled a bit, so we're not used to seeing them like glob down to the side of the box trying to stay cool. Yeah. I added the Flow Hive honey top box. Honey, what is it? Honey? It's just the box just for the honey storage. We did that a few months ago and been checking the window and checking on the frames, and there's not a huge amount of progress, which is kind of surprising because they really expanded quickly with the first brood box. But I do need to open it up again this weekend probably to see if they've made a little bit more progress, because if not, we're gonna have to start feeding them some in the fall and winter. But they're still there. They're still buzzing around. We still see them around, which is cool.
All over. There are tons in the garden still. It is so fun. I love seeing them all over.
It's called a super. Thank you, Cheryl, and probably others.
Yeah, so we kind of made the decision a while back that we are not going to. Oh, I know what I can do. Well, that's heating up. We are not going to take any of the honey this year because we just want them to get settled in and if we take honey and they don't have enough honey, then we would have to feed them sugar water. And we would rather them just be able to eat their honey than take sugar, or have to feed them sugar water. So what I'm going to make here is we are going to dust these donuts in.
Oh yeah, you're still muted. Oops. Thank you.
So what we're going to do while we're waiting for our oil to heat up, we've got about 30 degrees more, is I'm going to go ahead and just make some.
We're really struggling today.
I know. Cinnamon sugar here. So what I was saying while I was muted was we decided we're not going to take any honey from them this year, because if we take too much honey and they don't have enough honey to get through the winter, because that's what their food source is, then we would have to feed them sugar water, and we'd rather just not do that. We'd rather just let them live their best lives and eat the honey that they worked all year for. Okay, so here I've got cinnamon and sugar. My oil is coming up to temperature. I saw a question earlier that I thought was a really good question, because right now I'm being bombarded with zucchini. Not as many zucchinis as I got last year, but quite a bit of zucchini. Is would I make that zucchini pineapple, the zucchini mock pineapple again? We really, really liked it. I just haven't used very much of it. I think it's delicious, and if you use a lot of mock pineapple, or if you use a lot of pineapple, crushed pineapple in your cooking, definitely it's worth making. I don't buy a lot of crushed pineapple, so I've used it a couple times, but I still have quite a few jars. So I'm not going to make any more this year, just because I still have a couple jars on my pantry shelf. And we'll see, maybe I'll make it again, because it is really good. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're at 359 degrees Fahrenheit. And so I just turned the temp down just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to keep it up. Again, I'm not an expert fryer, but I know what's going to happen is when I put these donuts into the oil, it's going to drop the temperature. And the recipe said about 1 minute to 2 minutes on each side. And they're going to sink to the bottom, which they have done. They're all the way at the bottom, and now they are starting to come up to the top. So one thing I do like to use when I am making donuts are chopsticks. So I have 2 chopsticks out here. I should probably, Josh, do you have access to a timer?
Yeah.
Could you set a timer for 1 minute? Let's see what our temperature. Okay. I'm going to turn my oil down just a little bit because it is now at 165. I want to try to control this to heat so that I can get them fully cooked. That's one thing that always kind of is a little stressful to me when frying, is can we get the outside nice and golden brown with getting the inside of the donut fully cooked. So I am just going to keep a close eye. Now there's a lot of sugar in these donuts, so they're going to probably get pretty dark, because they have quite a bit of sugar. I'm flipping them now. Sugar in them from the apple cider that we reduced, plus we also added sugar to them. So anytime you're cooking anything with sugar, it's going to brown more than things that don't have sugar in them. So I just flipped them. Would you be willing to set your timer for another minute?
It's already going off right now. Do you need it?
Yep, I just need it set for another minute.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect. I'll repeat it.
That alarm is my was my alarm, or is my alarm when I get up in the mornings.
A little triggering.
It's triggering. Yeah, it's triggering. I don't have to set an alarm very often now, but when I was a dental hygienist, I would have to get up really, really early. And so that anytime I hear that alarm, it brings me back to 5 a.m. wake up calls.
We've had a couple of questions about,
Yeah.
Actually, I think maybe it's just repeated from Tenna Sullivan about strawberry rhubarb pie.
Ooh,
Have you ever made that, or do you pretty much stick to just rhubarb?
I have never made strawberry rhubarb pie. I have never eaten it, actually. I've only ever eaten just plain rhubarb pie. But it would be really good.
I feel like that could really elevate it.
Josh doesn't like rhubarb pie.
I have a sweet tooth more than a tart tooth.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, we don't have a second camera angle today.
I know, I wish we did, because this is really the fun part right here. Okay, so I am going to actually move this pot of grease to this burner over here because I can get a smaller flame on it because this is at 162 and I want to try to reduce the temperature of that just a little bit.
I think it's at 362.
Oh, what did I say? 262?
162.
Oh yeah, no, it's not at 162. So I'm gonna put it over here just so that I can try to drop that temperature a little bit. And here are our first donuts coming out. They smell good. It smells so good in here because we simmered that cider down. And because I did a double batch, because I needed it to make this recipe plus the recipe we made together, it probably took an hour to reduce down. And it was like the perfect simmer pot. This is very hot.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Probably hundreds of degrees.
Yeah. Let me get my chopstick back. Oh, here it is. Oh. Yeah, I think these are cooking a little too quickly. So we're going to drop the temperature just a little bit. Because I want to make sure they get fully cooked.
They smell good.
Yeah, they
That's
smell
for sure.
really good. I may have, hopefully I rolled them out thin enough. I'm going to thin them out just a little bit. Okay. So we're going in with this second round. And I can fit 4 donuts in here, but I want to just get them in at the same time.
Would you want me to set a timer?
Yeah, for 1 minute.
Siri, set a timer for 1 minute.
Ah, very sticky dough. Okay. Oh yeah, see now, because I put 4 of them in at the same time, and I have them on a lower flame, it dropped it to 350, which is what I want. I want to try to control that temperature just a little bit. It's always learning your stove, you know, which burner does what. And do you call this a burner or an eye? That is a good question. Some people call, I think in the South, they call these eyes.
Eyes?
Yeah, like, but I don't know. I've just heard that a couple times, so let me know if you guys call it a burner or an eye. Josh lived in the South
For
6 months?
6 months.
Yeah. No, because you lived in Georgia and Florida. Yeah.
Florida, I feel like, is almost an exception.
You could start a debate.
Yeah, I know. That's true. That's true. But in Georgia, I was only there for like 6 months, so.
So fun fact about Josh. Josh has lived in like 13 states. How many states have you lived in?
I would have to recount.
It's a lot.
It's quite a few.
Okay.
But I don't remember
like,
eyes.
What was that?
But I don't remember eyes.
Oh.
Maybe because I was in high school and not cooking.
Okay, so now my oil's dropping down a little too much, so I'm going to turn it back up. And I'm going to cook these a little bit lower or a little bit slower. And so we'll have a comparison to see.
I'm not seeing anyone saying eyes.
Okay, so maybe I'm crazy on
It
that.
might have been a dream.
No, I feel like I've watched cooking videos and people have called it an eye before. But not the first time I've been wrong, and it certainly won't be the last. Okay, I'm flipping these. That's why I like chopsticks, because you can kind of push down on one side and flip over on the other side. I think these are going to be cooked a little bit better on the inside than the first ones I did. And then we'll cook these donut holes. I'm just going to flatten them just a little bit.
Okay, we have a couple people that say they call it eyes. So it's not, you're not crazy.
I'm not crazy.
It at least exists out there. Maybe it's the difference between electric and gas, though.
Oh, that could be. Certainly. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit more cinnamon sugar on these ones now that I can actually touch them a little bit better. So y'all, I was a little bit worried about my tomatoes, you know, and right now behind Josh, I have 2 folding tables covered in tomatoes, and that's the second round of 2 folding tables I have covered in tomatoes. I just need to remember that we don't start harvesting tomatoes around here until, well, we harvest cherry tomatoes in July, but the big slicing and aromas we don't start harvesting until like the end of August. Okay, let's see. I forgot to ask you to set a timer, so I'm just talking away over here. Okay, yeah, these look a lot better. The other ones look good too, but I'm a little worried those ones might not be fully cooked on the inside. So next week, Josh's friends are coming over. He has some friends from out of town, and we are having a dinner party. And today I was just working on the menu. I'm really excited about the menu. Should I tell you what it is while we're
Are
talking?
you gonna leak it? Oh, real quick first, people are
Yeah.
saying you should add a little salt to the top.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I feel like that's
should
a recurring
sprinkle it on the
theme.
top, or should I put it in the cinnamon sugar?
This request was to put it in the cinnamon sugar, but I think
Oh.
a sprinkle on top makes sense.
Yeah,
Make sure, because then you don't have to use as much.
yeah, because this is kind of the stuff I don't want to go crazy on using it, because
That's a recurring theme for sure.
salt
Putting salt on tops of things.
and sweet is like peanut butter and jelly. You don't get much better than that. Speaking of, I was looking at recipes today and I saw 2 recipes. I don't know if it's the next new big thing, but peanut butter and jelly cookies and peanut butter and jelly Rice Krispie treats. And I think I'm gonna have to make those. Okay,
Sounds interesting.
so while these are hot, I want to get these in the cinnamon sugar. I think I waited a little too long. You kind of want to do it when they're still hot.
Moist?
Yeah,
Slightly
everyone's
moist.
favorite word.
Yes.
Okay, so there we go. I can't get it really well on the sides because it's too hot to touch. Oh yeah, that's going to be good.
So people have suggested that if they're still raw, that you can like bake them maybe, potentially,
yeah,
just to
that's-
get them cooked through.
I think these ones are going to be cooked, hopefully. The first ones I might have to put in the oven. And I think I can keep track of which ones are which. Even though I press them down, they still puffed up really, really well. I'm kind of nervous. When I was making this batter, I was really nervous because it was so wet and sticky. I thought there's no way, but they roll out really nice. Let's see
All
if I
right,
can-
so we've had a dozen questions about a P.O. box.
Oh,
We actually took the P.O. box down. We still have it technically, but we took it out of all the descriptions and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was getting a bit overwhelming
you
at
all
times.
are so generous.
Because there's a lot of generous people out there, and it's hard to reciprocate on a mass scale. And that feels bad to receive things from people, even if it's, a card. Someone puts time into cards and stuff, and it takes a lot of time to reciprocate that we don't have. And that felt crummy. So we
Yeah.
kind of took the P.O. box offline. Although, if you want to send cards, like Christmas cards or something, I guess I could post it. I'll have to look up the number again, but I can post it in the description of this video,
That's a good idea.
at least for the live portion.
That's one thing I do miss. I miss reading your all's letters. You
Yeah,
guys are so
a lot of sweet
very,
letters
Yeah.
and cards
and Christmas.
and handmade things that were very sweet.
Yeah. So maybe for Christmas, I loved reading all the Christmas cards and seeing the photos and everything. That was so heartwarming. That's hot. Okay, this is hot, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it in my spider. Oh no, they're sticking together. Okay, I think it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Get these in here. Okay, I'm excited to try these. You all bless me so much just by watching my videos, and so that's kind of why we took the P.O. box away, because I don't ever want you to feel, or anyone to feel like the need, or not the need, I don't know, that's not the right word.
Like obligated or?
No, I don't know. Trust me, just you watching my videos, commenting is so generous. The fact that you give your time, it's just amazing. So that is a blessing in and of itself. But I do miss the cards, and you all are so sweet. Okay, so for the donut holes, I am taking this spider and I'm kind of moving them around in here so that each side kind of gets cooked, because they kind of bob around. And I already flipped that one over. Josh, you should do a poll How many of you all have made donuts before? So growing up, my mom never fried anything. I don't ever think even one time I remember her, maybe she did and I just don't remember. She'll probably tell me that, you know, she probably fried something at one point. But so this is not, you know, something that I grew up with. And so it's definitely always feels, I feel empowered when I do it. And it's successful because it's kind of foreign to me. And we didn't grow up really eating that much fried. Like my dad would take us to go get donuts sometimes, but it was definitely a very, very special, special treat.
Okay, I do have a poll out there.
Oh yeah, good. Okay, I think these donut holes are done. It's a little hard to know when they're fully done too, because the dough in it of itself is a darker dough versus when I made cake donuts and yeasted donuts in the past, the dough is almost all white, but this has brown sugar in it. It has that apple cider in it, and it has brown sugar in it. So I think they're just inherently a little bit darker than like just a plain yeasted donut. Okay. These are going to be good. I didn't quite make enough cinnamon sugar, I don't think. I'm going to just very carefully, I always, ooh, it's hot. Hot potato, hot potato. I probably should have done a bigger bowl of cinnamon sugar. See, my salt's not sticking to those. I don't really want to, I want to make sure when I use that salt, it all gets used.
Okay, so I have added the P.O. box to the description. I will probably remove it after the stream, so it's for anyone that's here.
That's a good idea.
We need to rethink the strategy around that, I think. And as far as the poll goes, we have no in the lead by 52%, which is kind of surprising. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe because I don't do a lot of cooking, but I'm surprised that we have like kind of a 50-50 split.
That surprises me too. Okay, so I'm turning the stove off now, and maybe I should preheat my oven because I'm so nervous these aren't cooked all the way through. Putting the last of this cinnamon sugar on here, and then I am going to sprinkle it with a little bit of salt. I'm going to rinse my hands real quick. Okay. So we do have some that are cooled now that we should be able to, oh, there we go. That looks nice. Okay, this counter is a disaster, but that's okay. The donuts will taste the same whether my kitchen's a disaster or not. Okay. You ready to try one, Josh?
I am. And, you know, if they're not cooked through,
The moment of truth.
then it's just, you know, it's more, we could do it later, retry again.
Yeah, this is a
future.
real cooking. This is, okay, so I'm nervous to do it this close to you, but we're gonna do this together and see.
Oh, yeah.
It's cooked all the way through.
That looks great.
We did it. Okay, so this is the second round of donuts where I turned the temperature of the frying oil down a little bit because the first round.
Can I ask for a plate?
Oh yeah, the first round the oil got up to 365. Okay.
By the way, we had some suggestions from people.
Yeah.
If you let the donuts cool a little bit, you can put them in like a paper bag or a Tupperware container with the sugar and give them a shake.
Shake it. That's a great idea. Okay. I think I'm gonna dip mine in this sugar.
My mom says that we should make an Ollie Bolin together.
What's that?
I don't know. Is that one of those things that you're supposed to say, what's an Ollie Bolin? And it's and you get punked?
You ready to try it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I'm crunching in the microphone.
Sorry. Oh, that won't help.
It's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very soft, cakey.
Totally cooked.
The salt is nice. It definitely elevates the sweetness.
Very tender. I'm gonna open. Oh yeah. I was right. That first round that I did where the oil got too hot, those are not fully cooked. So I might actually throw those in the air fryer. I have seen recipes where you can make donuts in the air fryer. So All of these should be fully cooked except for the first 3 that we made. These are so good. And I think you could probably roll them a little bit thinner too. I did roll them to a 1/2 inch, but you could probably roll them to about 1/3 of an inch, and they probably would cook a little bit more evenly.
It's tasty though. I will say the apple cider isn't overwhelming. But maybe I was just expecting a lot of apple flavor.
Oh, this is my first time I've ever eaten a cider donut, so I don't have anything to compare it to. But it is, like Josh said, it's a very, very mild apple flavor. And it's not surprisingly too sweet. I need to wash my hands again.
Yeah, not very sweet. There's not a ton of sugar on the top, which helps.
No, yeah. You could also, you know what you could do? If you really wanted to like bump up the apple flavor, you could reduce that apple glaze even more. So take like a cup of the juice and reduce it down to 1/4 of a cup. So in here we reduced 2.5 cups to 1 cup, but you could reduce it down to 1/4 and make a powdered sugar glaze and use that as the liquid. So add powdered sugar to that and then drizzle that on the top. That would really bump up the apple flavor.
Someone said you could use crushed freeze-dried apple and mix it into the cinnamon sugar.
That is a good idea.
That would be a great idea.
You could even do like a Granny Smith apple, so you could get sweet and kind of tart mixed together. And if you did the apple glaze with like a frosting glaze, then the salt would really stick on the top. And you would get that like crunch from the salt, which is what I like. I like that crunchy. So going back to the last, not the last live, because the last live was the announcement of the giveaway winner, which was so fun. And Melissa did answer her phone after she had just gotten off work. And Josh and I were surprised that, because it came from, she wasn't watching the live. And she had just gotten off work and she was confused why someone was calling her, and she answered even though it was a number she didn't know. And it was so fun.
Everything went better than expected.
Yeah.
It was great to have the first phone call answered.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, what was I saying? So the last live was the freeze dryer giveaway, but the one where we made the last recipe, we made the browned butter zucchini toasted oat chocolate chunk cookies. And those have been a huge hit in my house. So whenever we need a sweet treat, I will cook them. I have them frozen. So after the live, I froze all the cookie dough, and I've been cooking them from frozen, and they are so good. And you all said to put the salt on the top of those. And so I've been keeping with that tradition, because a couple of them, I think half we did salt, half we didn't do salt. And as they come out of the oven, I have been sprinkling them with salt. And they cook up really well from frozen. They just need an extra like 2 minutes in the oven, and they have been really good. It's the first cookie I've ever made, or cookie like that I've ever made that doesn't have egg in it. Now that I'm talking to you and thinking about it, I guess like shortbread cookies don't have eggs in it. But it's the first chocolate chip oatmeal cookie I've ever made with no egg, and it holds together. You do need it to kind of cool down a little bit. It does need to kind of cool down and harden a little bit, and then you can eat it.
It's tasty.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to go through a couple questions? We have a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's any related to baking.
Yeah,
otherwise we'll just sit here eating them all. Is there a fall recipe that you're most excited to try? That's from Bridget.
So I'm going to make a pumpkin creme brulee for the dinner party for Josh's friends that are coming over next week. I'm really excited about that. We just made together 4 fall baked pastas yesterday. You'll see that next week probably. And those turned out really good.
I'm a fan of pastas.
Yeah, they were very good.
Baked ziti.
I'm going to attempt to make, this isn't fall necessarily related, but I want to try making a Thanksgiving dinner start to finish all by myself this year. So I'm really looking forward to that. And this is probably more Christmas related, but it's like holiday related. There's about 4 almond recipes that I've been saving that I want to make. And so throughout the holiday season, I'm going to make those. You'll really like them, I think.
How about the wheat that you grew?
Okay.
Are you going to mill that?
Yeah, so we harvested it. It's sitting down in the basement. That is now shelf stable in its state. So if you saw me harvest it, I just cut it. It was dried. I put it in that bowl, and it's downstairs with a fan on it with the black beans. And today I harvested a ton of what I'm gonna use as pinto beans, the rattlesnake or dragon tongue.
Dragon's tongue?
No.
Those ones are...
Rattlesnake pole beans. I harvested a bunch of those today. So I have all that downstairs. Those are basically shelf stable at this point. It's kind of a cool thing. And so what I'm going to do is now I need to focus on the tomatoes and the other produce items that are coming in from out of the garden. Those are perishable and will go bad. And so as soon as I'm done with the tomatoes, I'm going to, is it called thrashing the wheat? We've got to
Look at me.
We got to separate the wheat from, I am going to mill it.
The chaff?
I bought a new wheat mill.
Sounds right.
Wheat grinder mill. Wheat mill. One that has been sitting in my Amazon cart for probably 2 years. I finally ordered it. And because the one that I used to use, it never ground the flour fine enough. And so it had too much texture to it. So I did buy my wheat mill. I haven't opened the box yet, so I'm kind of just waiting. So we'll separate the wheat berries from the grassy part.
The chaff?
Yes, chaff.
It's very biblical.
And we'll do all that together. But I need to wait a little bit because I need to take care of the 2 tables worth of tomatoes that are telling me, you need to take care of me or I will go bad. And I don't want those tomatoes to go bad.
We have a question. I feel like I know the answer, but maybe I don't. Do we ever get that spatula from behind the oven?
No.
It's still back there?
So you all are so funny. I totally forgot. And I think I even said when the spatula fell back there, I was like, well, it's gone to me now or something like that. And then when we went shopping, and because I still haven't ordered any new ones because these are the little ones I've been using. And I'm surprised no one has commented that I'm using these to scrape bowls all the time. You all told me that my spatula is behind the oven, and I had forgot to tell Josh that my spatula is behind the oven. So I need you to...
So it's just back there.
Yeah. And I really need it because these are... they're really nice for small things, but scraping my KitchenAid, it feels a little silly, or folding in whipped things, it feels a little silly. So I really like that spatula. So if you could,
I'll have to pull it out.
I just forgot to tell him. So thank you for reminding me. I'm kind of scared. What else is back there? Because we have not moved that oven. Oh, you know what you
all
could do
kinds
too?
of good oily bits of stuff. Mm.
You know what you could do too is that stove is not level.
It's not? Oh.
No, he wouldn't know that because he doesn't use the stove. Have you ever used it?
It teeters on you?
No, but the oil, when I'm cooking stuff, the
yeah,
oil
I've noticed
pools.
That.
Yeah.
I've noticed that. I almost want it to be tipped a little bit.
Oh, really?
So that steam comes out of the back of the pot.
Oh, it's
but
not. It's not
the other
that.
way.
It's so subtle. It's not enough that the steam's gonna go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question from Lisa's Garden Journey. Maybe she's still here. She asked this at the very beginning. She said,
"Thank you for being patient."
Will you ferment peppers for hot sauce this year, and will you film it? I want to follow you.
I have not done that yet. I've made a couple rounds of hot sauce, just small batches of hot sauce. I have fermented peppers many times, but it has always been hit or miss whether they mold on me. And so I have showed that a couple times, and my peppers that come out of my garden are so precious to me that it kind of makes me a little bit nervous about fermenting peppers. But what I could do, so I hadn't decided yet if I was going to ferment any. Last couple, I think on Monday, I can't even remember the days and what I did on what day anymore, but I had a bunch of serrano peppers and I did turn that into hot sauce, and I did consider fermenting them, but I didn't. So maybe I should, because I like fermented hot sauce. It's really nice because you get that probiotic fermented stuff. It's one of the few. I don't like sauerkraut or anything like that. It's one of the only vegetable ferments I like. So thanks for the reminder. Maybe I'll do that. If I do, you will see it. I will definitely take you along. I have never done weight measurements when it comes to fermentation, and that could be my problem. Because I just didn't use my scale that much, but now I'm so accustomed to using my scale. I'm sitting right there, that's why I'm looking at it. That maybe what I should do if I do fermented peppers is look up a ratio, because I know there's a lot of ratios out there where you can do like a percentage brine and things like that and use weights, and you can get it a little bit more accurate to dial in the amount of salt you need, versus I just kind of go like, 4 cups of water, a couple tablespoons of salt, and call it good. But
sorry, I'm typing.
Oh, that's okay.
1 second. I'm going to just post here and pin the P.O. box because people are having trouble refreshing, I think.
Oh, because you put it in the description box?
It's in the description. So then if you're on mobile, I'm not sure how you get to it.
You could pin a comment.
That's what I've got now. We've got it pinned.
Oh, okay.
It's best practice to also include like the name, like Becky's Acrehomestead or something, but there's the P.O. box for you.
Yeah.
All right. I do have other questions. From Heidi, she asks, my potted basil plants got aphids. Can I reuse the soil next season, or should I start with new soil next year?
I don't know the answer to that question. That is a very good question. I've never had aphids on basil before. That's super interesting. The crop that I have the biggest struggle with aphids is actually kale. And so I kind of gave up growing kale in the summer because it's disgusting. They get covered. What you can do to kill aphids is just some soapy water sprayed on them, and that takes care of it. I did have aphids on my dahlias this year. I did 1 treatment of soapy water on them, and they never came back. But I have never thought about where they overwinter, like if they lay their eggs in the soil. So that would be a good question for Google. I did learn, though, that squash bugs lay their eggs in the soil. Or not, sorry, that's wrong. Squash bugs lay their eggs and store their eggs in the old squash vines. And so when I'm done harvesting my pumpkins, I need to burn the squash vine. So that's maybe something you could do, Josh, is you don't want to compost them even near your garden, even if you're not going to use that compost in your garden, is that if you compost it near your garden, they could work their way back to your garden. So
that sounds bad.
Yeah, I have squash bugs in one of my beds, but I don't have aphids on them.
We have a couple of people that have said, yes, you can reuse the soil.
Oh,
they don't
perfect.
infest the soil or potting mix. But wouldn't hurt to go to Google and get a couple
That's true.
other opinions, but
I definitely know that there are bugs that, lay their eggs in the soil. Usually what I do with my pots, while you're getting a question, and I did this year and it worked really, really well, is I reused the soil, but I didn't reuse all of it. I took about 20 to 25% of the soil out of the pot, and then I worked in new compost and compost that was designed for pots. So something that was a little bit light, not a dense compost. And that really worked really well. My pots actually are still doing really, really, I'm looking at one of them right now and it's looking really good. So that was the first time I had done that, where I kind of added a little bit more nutrients to the soil, and it helped.
Probably one last question here. And it's a simple question, but it's from Brandy Murphy. She asks, do you think you'll do the Pantry challenge this year?
I have done it for the last 3 years, so I think I will. The Pantry challenge, I think I will, but time will tell if I do the Pantry challenge.
You'll just have to stay tuned for the next 5 months.
I have done it. I've actually kind of been in a pseudo pantry challenge. I've talked about this before. I have gone to the grocery store if I need something for a recipe, but what I've been trying to do is plan my recipes based around what I already have or what is in season. I do get local milk once a week, but I don't buy the cream because the cream is just too expensive. So things like cream and cheese, I do go to the grocery store. I'm kind of been doing a pantry challenge right now, but I might do one in January as well. The one in January is fun because so many people are doing it, and it's fun to kind of watch and see what how creative they're getting. I probably will. I would probably be sad if I didn't do it. It's just, they're hard to film because it's a week's worth. It takes me an entire week to film the one video. So that's why
It does draw it out a little bit more
Yeah.
than the average video.
Yeah, but they are fun. And I love watching Pantry Challenge videos. Like, that is a really fun thing to watch. So I probably will do it, because if I don't do it, I'll probably be sad I didn't do it. So, yeah. So if you want to make these donuts, the recipe is down in the description box. And what I will do next time, because I do have this batch that I'm going to go ahead and throw into the refrigerator, and I will probably fry them up tonight. The recipe does give directions on how to freeze the donuts. It says that what you should do is freeze them before you put the powdered sugar on them, after they are fully cooled. The one difference I will do, and we've already talked about it, oh, you can see how this is already starting to firm up, is that I'm going to roll it just a little bit thinner, and I'm going to make sure that my oil, and I'm going to reuse this oil too, I'm going to make sure my oil does not get up above 100, I don't know, I keep saying that, 350 degrees. And yeah, so I will make these, and we will have donuts in the freezer.
Perfect.
We have a family dinner we're going to on Sunday, so I might be bringing some donuts to family dinner, which will be fun.
Nice.
So friend, if you want to watch more of my videos, I can pop some here. I want to thank you for being here. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, I greatly appreciate every single one of you who takes time out of your day to hang out with us in my kitchen. Sometimes we do really good, successful projects. Sometimes we have flops, and that's just reality. And then sometimes we try new things like today, and half of them turned out perfect, and the other half was a learning opportunity. So thank you for being here. The videos will be here if you want to watch more, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, friend.